In order to complete our form, we need a submit button. That button actually takes the data and sends it to this process.php page. Since that page is fictional and doesn't exist, I'm just going to put a pound sign here.
This video is brought to you by OppiePie's Academy.
Often I do that if I don't know what the action page is going to be when I'm writing HTML. So here, after our selects, let's go ahead and put our submit button. So I'm going to use the button tag, and we have a type attribute here, and you're going to set that to submit. And you can write on the button whatever you want. I'm going to write submit form, and that'll be written visually on the actual button. So that'll submit the form data to the actual server, and looks just like this. Pretty generic, boring button. If you want to reset a form, you can create a reset button. That'll reset the form to how it looked when the page loaded. Reset button looks exactly the same, just like that. But if the user types the reset button without submitting it to the server, notice that the entire form is reset to whatever. So let's set a date here and a color. That'll work. And a number and an airline. And now when I reset the form, all that data gets erased and you start over. The third type of button is a button that you commonly have to wire up yourself. And you do that using JavaScript, and we'll look more closely at that later on in the course. This type of button can often occur outside the form itself. So I'm going to go ahead and just type button. And here we don't put a type, but generally we'll have an ID in order to link it to JavaScript later. So I've ID'd this as start button, and I've simply written on this start. And it won't do anything right now because we don't have any JavaScript behind it to actually make it do something. But there's a start button, and we could later write JavaScript around this ID to make that button actually do something. But that's a generic button. So we've looked at submit buttons, which will submit the form to the action address in the form tag. We've looked at reset buttons, which will reset the entire form to the way it looked when it was loaded. And finally, we looked at generic buttons that can be wired up with JavaScript to do just about anything.